Welcome to video number 6. This is Chris, and the frequently asked question that we're going to discuss in today's video is, why is my computer so slow while I'm not doing anything? Well, this is a really good question, and people ask me this all the time. And there's one thing you have to understand. Just because you're not doing anything, clicking around on the screen, there's hundreds of things going on your computer. So let's go ahead and talk about the usual suspects when it comes to this type of situation, where you're sitting at your desk, you're not doing anything, and your computer is just hanging or slow and freezing up. Well, what's usually happening is your background processes are just overcoming your system resources that we talked about in the last video. Now, background processes are things that are usually automated. Automation is one thing that's great about computers these days because they let you do so many things totally hands-free. And an example of a background process, we've brought this up before, is your antivirus software. Now, you don't see it running on your screen, there's no window, but your antivirus software is always scanning and always doing something, always looking out to make sure that you're safe. Well, that background process requires system resources. It uses RAM and CPU. Now, an example of a background process that isn't necessarily good, or it leads to your computer being slow, is the background processes built into lots of popular software titles like Adobe or iTunes or Google. These three players all use an updater system that is constantly using your internet connection to phone home and see if there's any updates, like nonstop. It seems a little ridiculous. Well, that's a background process that you don't necessarily need all the time, and it's hogging up CPU and RAM. So that's two examples of why you're not doing anything on your computer, but it could be running really slow, almost at a standstill. And if you're not careful, you could have hundreds of background processes running and not even know it. Now, there's other background processes that are called Windows services. And Windows services are things that Windows needs automated to run. And one example of a Windows service is the print queue, or called the print spooler. And whenever you make a print job, your computer has to talk to your printer. It uses a little service called the print spooler. And that queues up your jobs to be sent to the printer for printing. Well, the print spooler is always running. And there's literally hundreds of Windows services. And so these are things that can also be running in the background, slowing down your computer. And of course, malicious infections. They don't want you to know that they're installed, and so they are doing their malicious activities behind the scenes. And believe me, adware especially, adware just will fill up your computer in the background, trying to look to see what you're doing so it can find an ad to display you that's related to whatever you're doing, especially when you're surfing the web. So let's say that you go to Google and you type in snowboards, and the adware is going to sit and watch and see what you're typing into Google. Then it's going to show you an ad for snowboards. That's how these software developers make money, is by showing ads in illegitimate ways. And so that's sitting and watching for your Google searches is running in the background. You don't see a little window. You see the ad for sure, but you don't see what's going on in the background, behind the scenes. So, what do you do about this? Well, the first thing you want to do is manage the programs that are set up to run in Windows Startup. And that's where these automatic updates start up. Almost every computer that I look at that says it's really slow, when I look to see what's in Windows Startup, there's iTunes, there's Java Updater, there's Adobe Updater, Google Updater. They're always looking to see if there's an update, and it's really ridiculous. Especially iTunes, it just totally hogs up your RAM and CPU, and you're really not getting much of a benefit out of that. Now you can also watch and manage your task manager in real time if you want to see what's going on. All of these background processes have an entry in Task Manager. And also, this is a really great thing to do, is disable unused and bloated Windows services. And this is what I'm talking about. A lot of Windows machines are set up to run in a corporate network. Like if you have the professional version of Windows XP instead of the home version, or if you have Vista Business. Now, this version, or rather these versions of Windows, have all these services set up to run on a corporate network. And they're usually enabled by default when you install the operating system. So all these services need to use RAM, they need to use CPU. And if you're at home on a really small network, you don't need all of these corporate enterprise networking services. And so this is a way that you can free up more system resources for what you really want to do by going in and disabling the services that you don't need. Now here's the really cool part. We've put together about 30 Windows services that you don't use on a regular basis, especially on a home network, and you can just shut them off. And we're going to make a video, and we're actually going to screencast, and we'll show you how to do it step by step. It's really cool, so you're definitely going to want to tune in for that one. The last thing you need to do for these type of background resource problems is remove malicious adware, viruses, spyware, and that sort of thing. Now, there's 3 tools that I think are all great for this. I like to mix in a variety. I really like Nod32 to remove all this crap. There's a free version of Malwarebytes that's really good too. And one of the best tools for the last, 10 years now for getting rid of adware is called NoAdware, and it also gets rid of spyware and malware. So underneath the video you'll see links to those 3 programs. Again, that's Nod32, Malwarebytes, and NoAdware. I want to thank you for tuning into today's video, and just a quick reminder, you can catch all 20 videos in the Digital Survival series by going to GotSlowComputer.com. Until then, we'll see you on the next video.